I have been monitoring the traffic cameras, and I can tell you it is a very challenging scene this morning in Kansas City. This entire system is currently moving to the east. Let's take a look at our forecast models to see what the radar might look like as we move through the day. This is a projection for around 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is when we expect the snow to begin in the St. Louis area. Communities from Springfield up to Bloomington and even Chicago will likely start seeing that snow arriving at about the same time. The most significant snowfall is expected across northern Missouri, perhaps reaching up toward Davenport, while the snow should begin to taper off in Kansas City around that time. Additionally, we need to discuss the potential for frozen precipitation farther south in areas around Springfield, Joplin, and down toward Little Rock. There is a threat of ice in that region today, and we will cover that in greater detail in just a moment. Now, let us move our forecast forward to 8 o'clock this evening. This is when we anticipate the heaviest snow will be falling in St. Louis. At that same time, we will see some wraparound snow affecting Springfield, Missouri. For those of you in Indianapolis, the storm will be getting into full swing. Meanwhile, down here in Louisville, we will be watching a transition zone, Kentucky, right on the line between rain and snow. We expect a similar situation in Cincinnati. Now, if and when that precipitation does change over completely to snow, for instance in areas like Poplar, Bluff, Senath, and up along the Ohio River, that transition will likely bring a period of very heavy, wet snow. Although it may not last long, it will be quite intense. However, it does appear the most impactful snowfall and the longest-lasting snow will occur farther to the north. This includes Indianapolis up toward Columbus. And yes, for our friends from Chicago over to Detroit, you will be seeing another round from this fast-moving system. Then, as we look ahead to 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, there is a potential for some heavy snow to develop here in Louisville. Even as far south as Nashville, Tennessee, you could see a brief dusting of snow on the back edge of this system as it moves out tomorrow morning. Here where I am in eastern Kentucky, it appears the precipitation will be mostly rain for the duration, but we do expect to see some snow on the trailing edge of the storm. Farther north, Cleveland and Columbus will be experiencing some significant snowfall around this time. And then, as this system continues its journey across the Appalachian Mountains and toward the northeast, the storm system is actually forecast to intensify. You can observe on the models that there are strong storms developing over the ocean. All of that available moisture is being pulled up into the colder northern side of this system. This will result in heavy rain along the Interstate 95 corridor, from Washington, D.C., through Baltimore and New York, and all the way up toward Boston. Just to the west of that line, we will see heavy snow. Therefore, wherever that rain-snow line ultimately establishes itself, if you are on the western side of it, you can expect very heavy snowfall as we move into your day tomorrow. Here is the forecast for 11 o'clock in the morning, followed by noon, and then 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By 1 o'clock, we could be seeing very heavy snow in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, and up toward Binghamton and Albany, New York. And of course, this includes the Berkshires as well as the White and Green Mountains and the Poconos. I believe all of these higher elevation areas will be significantly impacted by the snow. Even up into Maine, you will likely experience some very heavy bands of snow from this system. Then, the event will largely be over by 5 o'clock in the morning on December 3rd. We will likely just have some lingering flurries as the storm finally moves away from our region. So, allow me to zoom out a bit here and show you the complete progression of the storm one more time. Please find your location on the map and watch as the system moves through. It is certainly a potent storm, make no mistake, but it is also moving very quickly. For that reason, it does not appear that we will see extremely high snow totals from this event. This will not be as significant a winter storm, particularly for the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, as the one we experienced recently. However, even on the lower end of the estimates, I want to be clear that this is a fairly conservative forecast. We are looking at what we call the national blend of models, which averages several different forecasts. It is very likely that some locations will end up with more snow than what this map shows, but to provide a realistic baseline, I believe we could see up to 3 inches of snow across northern Missouri. We could also see 3 inches of snow in Kansas City by the time the storm concludes. Up around the Chicago area, I anticipate about 3 inches of snow as well, and it would not surprise me if a few isolated spots receive 4 inches. 2 to 3 inches will be possible in Indianapolis. Even down here toward Louisville, Kentucky, I believe we could receive 2 inches of snow. A total of 2 to 3 inches is also possible in Cincinnati. Moving over to Columbus, you can expect 2 to 3 inches. Then, as we move north toward Cleveland, we can begin discussing totals in the 2 to 4 or even 3 to 6 inch range. The entire state of Pennsylvania, especially in the higher elevations, is well positioned to receive 3 to 6 inches of snow. The main exception will be down around Philadelphia, where it appears to be a mostly rain event for you. Now, for upstate New York, north of Albany, we are forecasting that 7, 8, or even 9 inches of snow will be possible. And please remember, this is the conservative end of the forecast. There will be many locations that likely end up with around a foot of snow by the time this is all over in the Northeast. The primary target for this event is northwest of the Interstate 95 corridor, stretching from the Poconos of Pennsylvania up through the Catskills, the Berkshires in Massachusetts, and extending up through Maine. This is the region where I believe we could see a solid 8 to 12 inches of snow. This will not be along the coast, but rather in the interior Northeast. That area will see the most significant impact from this storm. Now, just to the south of that snow line, in a few specific places, we must discuss the threat of ice, and we are about to look at that in much more detail. But first, I would like to acknowledge today's wonderful sponsor, Factor Meals. Their motto is, healthy eating made simple. Now, if you are anything like me, when severe weather is on the way, you already have a plan in place for what to do. You are not frightened, because you are prepared. But when it comes to dinner time, I don't know about you, but I often find I have no plan at all. And on many occasions, I end up just improvising at the last minute. And that is often not the best option for one's budget or for one's health. But that is where today's sponsor can help. Factor meals are fresh, they are never frozen, and they are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Factor meals are nutritious and are tailored to a wide range of health goals, with options like high-protein, calorie-smart, and gluten-free choices that are free from low-quality seed oils and refined sugars. And now, Factor has even more to choose from. They have doubled the size of their menu to over 80 rotating weekly meals, with 3 times more new chef-crafted options than before. In addition to that, they now have more variety than ever, including salmon and shrimp and new high-protein options like beef fillets, turkey, and meatballs. I encourage you to see for yourself. You can visit their website at factor75.com, or you can simply click the link at the top of the description box below and use the code HALLYALLFB50 for 50% off your first order, plus free breakfast for a year. Once again, that code is HALLYALLFB50 at factor75.com with the link at the top of the description. That will give you 50% off your first order plus free breakfast for an entire year. A very big thank you to Factor for sponsoring today's video. We truly appreciate their support. I know that many of you are fans of their meals as well. If you have not tried them yet, I sincerely recommend you do. The link is right at the top of the description. Now, let us return to our weather forecast. Let's begin by taking a conservative look at how much ice we could potentially see. And as you can see, there is a clear target area right here in the Appalachian Mountains, specifically in the south-central Appalachians. We are forecasting the possibility of up to 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation as we head into the day tomorrow. This threat covers the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoah Valley, extending from western North Carolina up through western Virginia and Maryland. The most significant threat appears to be right on the border of Virginia and West Virginia. I believe there will be many places that receive more than 1/4 of an inch of ice over a short duration. That amount of ice will accumulate on tree limbs and power lines, and it will likely cause some power disruptions. Now, we also have an ice threat back in Arkansas that will be developing today, right now as you are watching this video. And while I believe this will be slightly less impactful than the situation in the Appalachian Mountains, it will still be a significant icing event. And please, do not let a simple glaze of ice fool you into thinking it is not dangerous. Even a thin layer will cause accidents on the roadways, and it can still lead to some intermittent power problems. So, please keep that in mind. Now, believe it or not, south of this icy area, we will have rain. And south of the rain, we actually have a risk for some severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a marginal, or low-end, risk for severe weather from Mobile, Alabama, down to Apalachicola, Florida. Within this area, there is a very slight threat for tornadoes overnight. I want to specifically highlight the area along Interstate 10 If you are in Pensacola or Panama City, please make sure you have a way to receive weather alerts tonight because I do believe there is a small but present chance of some strong storms moving through. Let us return to our future radar model. While Cincinnati, Columbus, Indianapolis, and Detroit are being impacted by heavy bands of snow, we will see some strong, rotating thunderstorms, known as supercells, attempting to form over the Gulf of Mexico. Those storms will gradually drift north toward the coast of Florida. These will certainly be capable of causing various problems, such as waterspouts over the ocean, and then as they move ashore, they will have the potential to produce tornadoes. This will be an isolated threat, but it unfortunately appears it will be happening during the overnight hours, from around midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning. This is, of course, right when most of us are sleeping, so again, please ensure you have a way to receive weather alerts in that area. Now, the next major story after this storm passes will be the arrival of very cold air. Look at this very large mass of extremely cold air that is going to move in right after the storm departs. It is going to open the gates, so to speak, allowing Arctic air to pour down from the North Pole into the upper Midwest, the Northern Plains, and the Great Lakes region. Temperatures could be 40 degrees below average in northwestern Iowa, around Fort Dodge. This is going to be some of the coldest air we have experienced in quite some time, and it looks as though it will be staying with us for a while. This cold air will make its way down to St. Louis, Kansas City, and Chicago as well. We are looking at some very cold nights ahead, and you can see how it even spreads over into the Northeast a bit as we head toward the weekend. So, what will these temperatures actually feel like? Well, on Wednesday morning at 7 o'clock, we will be in the teens here in Lexington, Kentucky. The temperature will be around 20 degrees in Indianapolis. But that is not the core of the cold air. Watch as that large mass of Arctic air descends into the upper Midwest. On Thursday morning, and I want to be very clear, this is not the wind chill, this is the actual air temperature. It is forecast to be 20 degrees below zero in Fort Dodge. That is a dangerous, life-threatening cold, even for those of you who are accustomed to harsh winters. Even if you are accustomed to the cold, as temperatures could potentially drop to -10 in Minneapolis and St. Paul, a significant portion of North and South Dakota will experience temperatures 10 degrees below the average, and several locations may even approach 20 degrees below average. Please be mindful of this, as this is a life-threatening cold that is expected to remain with us for at least a couple of days before we see any relief from this cold air. And while the entire period may not be dangerously cold, the next 10 days will certainly continue to be below average in the Great Lakes region, stretching over into the Northeast and affecting nearly the entire eastern half of the country, with the exception of Florida. At the same time, we will continue to see a large ridge of high pressure building in the west, bringing warmer than average temperatures, all the way from San Francisco up to Seattle and over to Salt Lake City. So, that is the persistent weather pattern we find ourselves in. It is difficult to say when this pattern will change, and it does not appear to be shifting anytime soon. This setup will continue to create conditions favorable for snowfall. We are focused on the current storm system, but in my next update, we will discuss the next potentially significant winter storm for areas east of the Rocky Mountains. Now, that is the comprehensive weather outlook I have for you today. If you find this information helpful, I would appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications in the event we provide live coverage. However, if I am not live for this storm, a channel called Yawbot is doing an excellent job, with many people tuning in for its continuous feed of information regarding road closures, as well as live views from traffic cameras and other useful updates. You can find it by searching for YBA on YouTube. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Otherwise, I will see you in our next video. Until then, please stay safe and warm. Goodbye for now.